And hello everyone, looks like we're live. So it's been a long time since, we're not very regular with the schedule for the moment, but we wanted to have a meeting tonight just so to brag a little bit about Milestone 5 being released, which is an interesting milestone because it's feature complete with regards to what will be in the EHCache 3.0 GA release coming later. And so that leaves us today with work towards that GA, work focusing mostly on documentation and performance. Obviously, there is one fun task, documentation, and a pretty boring one, performance. But they both need to be done. And yes, I was being sarcastic. But so that's the upcoming stuff. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on that.
No, cluster development is progressing. The next coming couple of weeks, there'll be a bunch of work being done by Louis and Clifford on trying to understand how we're going to make the clustered stuff around lifecycle and cache managers integrate with the existing unclustered stuff there.
Yeah. And so what we announced in Milestone 5 is that we want to stick to frozen API as much as we can. But then we realized that the current way the clustered work was going would mean some non-neglectable changes. And so what we will want to do is, in short, today, the cache manager implementation is too specifically tied to the disk tier because it requires a number of different things around initializing the persistence service, making sure it's been properly initialized, all that kind of stuff. And if we keep that the way it is and build cluster the same way, then we start having issues because it means that the cache manager implementation becomes in a way tied to the different resource types, which means we need a different cache manager implementation for clustered, which is a problem in itself. So what I'll try to do with Clifford is try to fence our work by saying we do not touch cache manager implementation, and we try to push the relationship between a resource type, a store provider, and supporting service for that store provider as really relationships between the resource type and services, and have everything expressed through that.
So that you can add a resource type and the system will understand that means I'm looking for a store provider that understands that resource type.
Yes, exactly. And so it means probably having some more, I don't know, specific services that can understand, oh yes, I'm the service that you require when you want to have that type of resource. Oh yes, I'm a store provider, and since I'm for that type of resource, I require that type of services and all that kind of stuff.
I've been thinking of it as the ability to handle capabilities.
It would be something like.
It's a little, and there's also some elements of sort of wanting to do like mixins or traits is kind of the effect we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we very much would like something like that, and because if we manage to do that, then suddenly the impact of building clustered as the ideal world, the impact of building clustered has no impact on core EHCache.
Right.
And it's not just to be like crazy, but it really then allows us to build safer abstractions for the future. And so when we did persistence, at one point we were trying to go beyond with the abstraction, but we said, yeah, but we don't need that for the moment. And we probably missed exactly the right frontier for these abstractions. But at least today that we have clustered coming in, then we realize, oh crap, we need something more, because otherwise we'll have requirements for specific cache manager implementations, which we don't want. I mean, in today's world, we should not need a specific cache implementation. So why should we need a cache manager?
Well, it speaks to the scale continuum. This idea that you want to minimize the changes that a user has to make to the application code, possibly to zero,
Yeah.
When they're moving from an unclustered caching deployment to a clustered one.
Yeah, and so so everything we're saying not only applies to the runtime types, but also to the configuration types, like the cache manager builder and the XML things, so that we would get to a system where, yeah, sure, but if the XML configuration loaded contains all these extra services, then the proper things get put in place. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the upcoming thing, and then it might have minimal impact on the current APIs, but I think if we allow these to come in even this late in the unclustered release, at least it makes us safer for the clustered release itself to be really an extension of the features and not something that causes any breakage. Because, yeah, we don't want breakage at any level when we release clustered. It will be a significant enough release that we'll probably move directly to a 3.1, but it shouldn't be something where we say, oh crap, we really need to do a 4. That would just feel wrong.
A non-starter.
Yeah. As for performance, so there has been an issue opened a while ago, which was about the churn. Ludovic got us numbers. We indeed need to work on that with tracks to look at that. And in parallel, what we're clearly looking at is that EHCache 3 should be at least as performant as EHCache 2x, but we obviously want to be better.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal. As how much better, to be determined.
Yeah. And I'd be right in saying, Ludovic, that we have raw performance numbers prior to store integration, I guess would be the way of putting it, that indicate that we should be able to hit those targets.
Yeah.
Quite easily.
Yes. Being at least as fast as EHCache 2 won't really be a problem.
Yeah. We just have to do so in the cleanest manner, effectively.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So not too many trade-off between code quality and code performance.
Yep. Cool.
So that's the current state of things. Slight heads up for the people looking at Milestone 5. The source and Javadoc jars on Maven Central are empty due to a build defect that's now fixed. But since we're talking just about sources and Javadoc, we're not just re-releasing for that.
So what did we call that release? We called it M5. Do we want to just cut a release that is M5.1 that's binary identical?
No, it makes no sense.
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest. It's just sources and Javadoc for a pre-release.
Okay.
I don't think it's worth it. But the first release candidate will have the proper. So maybe talking about release candidates, the goal would be to have like frequent release candidates leading up to the release, like a much frequent cycle. So no longer talking monthlies, but more talking weeks.
Yep.
To get RCs out.
As and when significant changes to performance or
significant changes to performance, or just if we get feedback from the community around bugs and usability, please know is really the time, because like I've said, we're trying to freeze the APIs, even though I found an issue in one of the builders, so that's going to be an API changed in the next RC. Otherwise, the only reason we would consider changing API today is by having proper feedback explaining to us why something is not working or lacking or imperfect or anything like that. Anything else that we should discuss, guys, or quickly touch on?
Nope.
Cool. Then that was a short one, but yep, you'll see us coming. Oh yeah, we can announce that already. Both Ludovic and I will be talking at Devox France.
Oh, yeah.
In French.
In French, so I'll be doing what's called the Tools in Action, which is a 25-minute.
Presumably it's not called the Tools in Action.
Yeah, it is actually. But
okay.
because Devox France, so I'll be talking in French, but Devox France has 25% of its talks in English.
Yeah.
And so Tools in Action is a shorter session, so there the idea would be to be code only and present EHCache3 APIs and what it allows you to do and everything like that. So.
And apologies to anyone who missed me at DevNexus in Atlanta. I spent a very depressing day and a half in a hotel in Washington, D.C., having numerous flights cancelled out from underneath me, and ended up not being able to get there in time because of a winter storm coming through across the East Coast.
Which we should be protected from in April. And maybe, Ludovic, you want to say a word about what you're going to talk about?
Sure. My talk is Terracotta off-heap for Dummies. So it's the talk that Chris gave at Devox Belgium. He did it in English, of course. I'll do it in French, but it's roughly the same idea. So basically explaining the big picture of what is behind, what is the off-heap library, how was it built, and what can you do with it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool.
Yep, that's it for the moment. These are the upcoming things. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Probably next time will be to have a more concrete discussion on clustering once.
Yes, once you guys are nailed down. Yeah.
Stuff to explain and discuss. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I'd like to
Bye.
pull request review.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good day, all.